Hey everyone. So yeah, I'm doing a bit of an early Sakamoto Days reviews. I'm gonna do another one on the usual day of Saturday, but that one's gonna likely be like a pretty much two chapter review as well, because I do need to play catch up here a little bit since with the last episode of the anime. But okay, immediately the chapter dumps a very small but still interesting flashback on us by showing us the dynamic between Taro, Nagamo, and Rion, like Akira's aunt. And unsurprisingly, she did have that like boisterous, loudmouth sister kind of vibe as part of their like friend group. Like it's one of those things where I almost kind of knew instinctively that that's the kind of character we would get out of Rion, but that in itself also does show just how different she was compared to Akira. Like Rion exuded confidence at her turn, maintaining an ever-present like faith in her own abilities, and that she was, and that her assassination skills were indeed great. And yet, just from this brief bit of characterization, you can kind of also easily understand how Rion's overconfidence is very much what very likely led to her downfall. Like Rion, like Re, for basically as skilled as Rion was, it's also that very skill and that overconfidence that very likely led to her death. And yet the thing is too, Rion with everything we saw in just that little bit is everything Akira is not. Akira is nervous, indecisive at times, and while not lacking in skill, doesn't know how to control her raw talent either. And yet simultaneously, all those things will, while easy to perceive as flaws, I think are also what shows not only that she has greater potential than Rion, but also that she may not make the same mistakes, or at least that's the hope. That's the hope of it. I guess only time will tell at that. But I think there's this little piece of backstory we got right now. It did a lot to kind of, in order to really contrast the difference between Akira and her aunt, and just what the small differences really are with these two characters. And yeah, unfortunately, Taro really opened up a Pandora's box by revealing he knew Rion, because he's likely going to try to skirt around the question now, but we all know how this plays out, and if he keeps like avoiding giving Akira a straight answer about what happened, then the longer he keeps that a secret, the more likely it's going to blow up in his face. And knowing that Uzuki likely has his agents undercover skulking about the exam and whatnot, that's only going to make the situation even worse. So it's like, I like Taro. I don't know when you're planning to tell her exactly what happened, but you might want to consider like doing it sooner rather than later. Is all I'm saying. And but with that said, yeah, once again we got to talk about it now, because this chapter actually gives us her perspective on how she truly views Taro. As to her, he like in she kind of has that like now I think I said this before already, but now has a lot of idol worship. Idol worship when it comes to Taro. Like now perceives Taro as this larger than life being, the perfect assassin that is untouchable. But that's from the and that how he and to her, that's basically all she is, this perfect assassin. She doesn't understand the actual person, whereas and whereas but that's basically from the perspective of someone who doesn't know him. Whereas on the other side of that coin, who we have Shin, who not only worked with Taro in the past, but also has gotten to know the man he is today. Like, Shin understands both Taro's past and his present, whereas now has become so much of that obsessive fan and this perception of Taro as her idol, that she only understands the side of Taro she's seen, and thus it's the side she, in her mind, has come to admire, but she also perceived that admiration. I think she also perceives that admiration, but that admiration is also a misguided belief that she understands all there is to know of who Taro Sakamoto is. when she clearly doesn't. And I do feel with Now there is a very overt attempt on Suzuki's part to really critique the psychology of toxic fandom mentality like this, and the idea that you think you understand someone by the perception you have created them in your head, but the only way you'll ever truly understand someone is by getting to know them. It's that idea of projecting yourself onto your idol rather than taking the time and making the effort to just talk to them, like have a sit down conversation with them and understand who they are. And I do like how Suzuki did like tie this back to Shin in a way, and how even he admitted that yeah, once upon a time he did have a lot of those same perceptions, but the difference is by meeting Taro's family, he not only understood he not only understood who Taro is as a person, but also how much people can change from who they were. Like now is completely blinded and definitely let herself be consumed by her delusions and her obsession to the point where I think even after she's defeated, the only thing that can, like, I guess bring her back down to some semblance of sanity or some sense of reality is to have that very reality shattered. She needs to see the Sakamoto of the now rather than the one she thinks she knows. Like, and definitely not the one who she thinks represents that doll she carries around. But outside of that, not much else to say. Although I will say, I love how Kaji throughout this entire chapter is this silent, chill dude of Shin's group. Like he's there to help in whatever way he can. But aside from that, he's just there to vibe. He's vibing throughout this entire experience, and I kind of love that. Like just having those guys like, yeah, I'm just here. I'm just vibing. I'm just doing what I can to help. And like it's the kind of character you just kind of love. And even though I just went into a deep discussion about Nao's like psychology, I found it hilarious how she's such a deranged fangirl that she literally prays to a twisted personification of the Buddha with Taro's face and that wields guns. Like that is one of those things that is so creatively twisted and wrong, yet it somehow circles back to being hilarious. Like you pretty much figure out how that works, but it's kind of fun, honestly. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Blue Sky, Analyst Crunchyroll, wish notification bell, subscribe button, and just hit the video around, guys. Dark Knight of me signing off. Later, everyone.